Hanoi, Vietnam is a great place to visit. In this video, we'll show you all the touristy sites in Hanoi in 10 minutes. I hope you enjoy it. The first thing you notice when you come to Hanoi is there is no traffic rules, so you just have to be careful when you're crossing the road. The Flag Tower of Hanoi is a symbol of the city. It was once part of the Hanoi Citadel and it is a World Heritage Site. The tower is 3.4 meters and it was built in 1812 during the Nguyen Dynasty. There is also a military museum within the site. Oh, this is also what happens when you look like a Caucasian. A few hundred meters north of the tower, you'll find the Imperial Citadel of Thang Long. It is a royal enclosure that was built during the Lee Dynasty in 1010. The compound is actually quite big. It will take a few hours to actually walk around. There are also museums where they house a lot of the antique that they dug up for the last few years. About half a kilometer southwest of the tower, you'll find Temple of Literature. It is Vietnam's first national university. This temple is dedicated to Confucianism. It was built in 1070 at the time of Emperor Li. The Hanoi Opera House was built by the French administration in 1901 and 1911. Unfortunately, we did not go inside. On the northern end of the Hoan Kiem Lake, you will visit the Nok Son Temple, a pagoda sitting in the center on a small island. The temple was built in commemoration of a 13th century military leader, Tran Hung Dao, who was renowned for his bravery in the battle against the Yuan dynasty. You will need to cross the Rising Sun Bridge to get to the small island. Please remember that you will need to cover your shoulders and knees to access the temple. As you go further north, you will end up at the Old Quarter. This place used to be the residential, manufacturing and commercial center where each street was specialized in one specific type of manufacturing or commerce. Its total area is about 100 hectares. If you are looking for a bargain, this is the place to be. This town is most active at night. It is the most touristy site in town. There is also a night market that extends from one end to the other. There are also bars, massage parlor and restaurants. By the way, be careful with pickpockets, especially in lanes that is really tight with lots of people. You'll find a lot of cafe in the Old Quarter. There are heaps of restaurants and you can get a lot of snacks and you will never go hungry. Water puppetry is a tradition dating back to the 11th century. They control the puppet with a long bamboo rod. Hoa Lo prison is the only sad part of the trip. This prison was constructed by the French colonists in 1896. It is the darkest time in Hanoi where the Vietnamese people who went against the French would be tortured here. Trang Quoc Pagoda is the oldest pagoda in the city, originally constructed in the 6th century during the reign of Emperor Li. hence it is more than 1450 years old. It sits on an island in the West Lake, which is one of the largest lakes in Hanoi. A night tour around this lake was awesome. You will find the Quan Tan Temple a few hundred meters south of the pagoda. This Taoist temple dated back to the 11th century. Phra Bach Church is a Roman Catholic church. The church was built in 1932 by the French administration of Indochina as part of the Hanoi urban plan. Across the road is the North Gate, which is built in 1805 of the Imperial Citadel of Thang Long. It is the only survived external gates of the citadel wall after the French attack. The Presidential Palace of Vietnam was built between 1900s and 1906 to house the French Governor General of Indochina. When Vietnam achieved independence in 1954, Ho Chi Minh was claimed to refuse to live in the grand structure for symbolic reasons. He eventually built a traditional Vietnamese stilt house on the ground. The palace ground is massive. You will also find a museum and the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum nearby. There are a few museums you can visit when in Hanoi. You will learn about the culture and history of Vietnam. We would recommend the Women Museum, the National Museum, and National Fine Art Museum. Ready? Go. Go, 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 go. Work in a farm, woman. Do your bit, woman. Go do your bit, woman. The St. Joseph Cathedral is a late 19th century Gothic Revival church that served as a cathedral for the Roman Catholic to nearly 4 million Catholics in the country. The cathedral was named after Joseph, the patron saint of Vietnam and Indochina. Construction began in 1886 with the architecture style described as resembling Notre Dame de Paris. There are a number of locations where the locals live along the train track. You will find a number of cafes along the track and also get to meet the local chickens in the neighborhood.